A Woman's Reaction to The Mystery Method by Mystery with Chris Odom. Hey guys, really quick before I get too far into the book review, I wanted to mention something about the poll. So far, it's been pretty evenly divided between The Art of Seduction and No More Mr. Nice Guy, but today I ran across a new book that I thought you might find interesting. It was by someone I had never heard about. You guys probably have, and if you haven't, you'll probably be interested in him. His name is, let me check my notes, make sure I get this right, Dr. Shawn T. Smith. And he wrote a book called The Tactical Guide to Women, How Men Can Manage Risk in Dating and Marriage. And I figured that would be right up you guys' alley. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to the poll. If you want to change over your votes, go ahead and leave a comment to change over your votes. Otherwise, I'm just going to assume that that's what you wanted. I am sorry to be kind of changing it, but we've still got several chapters in Mystery Method, so there's still plenty of time to cast a vote. I figured this would be something you guys would be interested in, and so I can review that book. The guy has a YouTube page. He's only got 3 videos up, and he's got over 1,000 subscribers already. So I'll leave the link to that. He's probably got some really good information there. So I'm definitely curious to see what he has to say. If you guys are dead set on either No More Mr. Nice Guy or Art of Seduction, those are both really good choices too. I just thought it would be good to have this one available to you as well because it seemed like the sort of thing you guys would be interested in. So one of the things I really love about this chapter is up until this point, it's been kind of dry for me. I don't know if it's been dry for other people who've read it, but for me, these first 4 chapters were just kind of, gotta get through it. Okay. More terminology. All right, I can do this. I finally got to this chapter and things got interesting. This is the chapter where he finally starts laying out how to pick up a woman. Up until this point, it's like, oh, I'm going to teach you this, I'm going to teach you that. And you get through it. And I mean, that's not to say there isn't valuable information in those first 4 chapters, but they drag. This is where it gets fun. This chapter, in portions of the chapter, like several pages of the chapter, it's just paragraphs with little section notes on top of it. So, section on this, section on that, and it will be like a paragraph, like a block of information, and then he'll move on to something else. Tons of tips, tons of ideas, tons of things you can try, tons of little tricks you can try on women. This is actually where it gets good. And so I'm really excited because I don't feel like I'm picking through the entire chapter and just finding like 3 or 4 things to discuss and then I've run out of meaty, interesting things to say about the chapter. This one, I can safely say, I will not be able to cover everything that is in this chapter, and that makes me very happy. The 3-second rule. I think this is awesome. I think it's very good that he has this, and it's a good tip for guys who are trying to pick up women who might be shy about picking up women. You have to force yourself to do it. I know this isn't an exact parallel, but when I worked in the strip club, I would just go around the strip club and I would talk to everybody there because everybody was a potential customer. So I would go to every table. Like there were nights that were really slow in this one club I worked at. It was just not a good club for making money in. And so what I would do is I would grid out the club and I would go to every single table along the grid back and forth. And I would walk up to people. Hey, would you like a dance? No? Okay, bye. Hi, would you like a dance? No? Okay. Thank you. Hi, would you like a dance? No? Okay. Hi, would you like a dance? Just over and over and over again. But by the time I got to the end of the grid, I'd turn around, walk back up to the front of the club, and then do the whole grid over again because it was just such a bad club for making money. I made enough money to pay my bills. I made enough money to pay my rent. I stayed in that club for longer than I should have wasted time in that club before going on to another better club, but that's a different story. I saw so many girls wash out of that club and just wash out of exotic dance altogether. I saw so many girls who were pretty girls. They would come in and they'd get all dolled up and they'd go and they'd stand in the corner and they'd watch the crowd because it was a very busy club. It was a very crowded club. It was a very cheap club. Like if you're selling dances for $15 per song, you get what you pay for. Anyway, also beside the point. But anyway, I'd see all these girls, they'd be hanging out at the corners and they'd be like, well, I'm agoraphobic. It's like, I was agoraphobic. I had to deal with that. That wasn't fun. But I just get nervous around crowds. I don't feel like talking to anybody. I don't know what to say. I don't feel comfortable asking a guy for a dance. They'd wash out. It wouldn't be too long. They'd come into work for, a month. They'd start losing money. You owe the club money when you come into work, so if you don't earn enough money to pay the club eventually tells you you can't keep coming in until you pay off your debt to the club. Like, I'd see girls who owed like $200 to the club or more, and they just, sooner or later they all just washed out because it was like, I don't feel comfortable trying to ask somebody for a dance. If you hesitate, it just gets harder. The longer you put it off, the longer you sit there and think about it, and I should go talk to her. I should, but I don't want to. You will end up being that guy sitting in the corner, watching the crowd, and being a wallflower, and you will not talk to that pretty girl. You have to force yourself to do it. And if you don't hesitate, you can't talk yourself out of it. And even if she shoots you down, at least then you know. And maybe she doesn't shoot you down. And one of the worst feelings is a missed opportunity. I hate missed opportunities. I have done so much crazy shit because I did not want to have to live with regrets. And I am very happy that he has this rule. This is just a good rule to live by. Obviously, there are some exceptions to the 3-second rule. Mystery mentions one really good example of an exception to the 3-second rule. He does a really good job of this. Like, this is a good tutorial. So, awesome. Be willing to crash and burn every set for the entire night. Do it for fun with your wing. You have to be able to fail in order to succeed. You have to be willing to take that risk. Not to go back to the strip club too much, but I remember there were so many nights where I would go in and I guess I would be having an off night, or maybe it was just a really cheap night. People tend to act like other people around them. So sometimes you go into a club on a certain night, and if nobody's buying dances, nobody wants to be the first guy to get up and go off with a girl to the dance booths. And so people just don't do that. And so, you'll have situations where with like tipping, one person will tip and then everybody else will kind of get up and shamble up to the stage and tip. You have the same thing happening with dances sometimes where one person buys a dance and then another person looks in and says, okay, I'm buying a dance. And if a bunch of people are buying dances, then suddenly it's a lot easier to get a guy to go and buy a dance. But if you don't have that first guy going to buy a dance, all of a sudden it's like, well, why should I do it? Nobody else is doing it. It'd be really weird if I did it, so I don't want to do it. And it's like, ugh. Then as a dancer, you walk into that kind of environment and everybody is saying no. Like, there have been so many nights, and it's not just me. There have been so many nights that I'll be sitting around in like the back of the club, and we'll all be sitting there, watching the guys who are watching the stage, and beautiful, beautiful women will be looking bored and pissed off, and they'll be like, nobody is spending any money tonight. And I'll be like, I know. That happens. There have been nights where I have gone in and I have asked every single person that I see for a dance, and every single person that I see has said, nope. Get used to it. Just accept it. That's part of the game. You have to fail in order to succeed. It sucks. It sucks a lot. The more you fail, the more comfortable you will get with the idea of failure. And the occasions that you succeed will erase all of the failures from your mind. The times you win are the ones that you'll carry with you. So don't be so worried about failing. Don't be so worried about trying something and having it really not work out. One of the things that I can say about this chapter, he gives a lot of advice, a lot of different tips, a lot of different hints. Don't try to do them all at once. That would be really difficult, especially if you don't regularly do these things. But feel free to take, just like even one, maybe two, and try it out and see how it works. And if it works, that's good. And if it doesn't work, well, shelve that one, try a different one, just take it and play with it. There's a lot of good information here. Some of it might be outdated. But there's a lot of it that seems pretty solid to me. So, yeah, play with it. Play with it and accept the fact that failure is going to be a regular occurrence until you either A, get really, really good at it, or B, find what you're looking for. And honestly, even if you get really good at it, you're still going to have a lot of failure. Like, failing is part of winning in this game. Many years ago, I had a girl literally scream at me to fuck off as I tried to open her set. If it ever happens to you, move on and don't take it personally. Sometimes women are just having a very bad day. That's horrible. That's horrible. Oh my God, that's horrible that she screamed at him. And I really don't want anybody thinking that it is socially acceptable or okay for women to scream at men like that. That's really horrible behavior on her part. However, if it does happen, don't take it personally. It's just evidence that she does not have very good impulse control. Do you really want to be around somebody who screams when they're, screams in public at somebody who just walks up and says hi? Do you really want to be around a person like that to begin with? And the answer is should be no. So, just consider it a bullet you dodged and keep going. Do I understand why women scream at men? Absolutely. Some guys will not leave you alone. I have had many occasions where I've just tried to sit down and have a quiet moment and enjoy a drink, and somebody comes up and they just won't leave me alone. They're talking at me, they're talking at me, they're talking at me, they're talking at me. It's like, go away, go away, go away, or I will physically harm you. I will attempt to maim you. I will gouge your eyes. Please go away. Women do occasionally have days like that. And so if you are the unfortunate man who attempts to talk to one of those women after she's met one or even two really, really clingy, unwanted men, she might just opt for the nuclear option instead of being polite and, civil about it. I do like how he said sometimes women are just having a really bad day. Yeah. When you are first opening a set, it's important to come in at an energy level slightly higher than that of the set. Okay, this is something that I have noticed about pickup artists that I've been around rather consistently, because I, hung around with enough pickup artists. They do tend, the ones that I've known at least, to have a slightly higher, kind of peppier energy level. Oh, you're coming back. Hello. They tend to be just a little bit perky. It kind of reminds me when I was first researching, do I want to start up a YouTube channel? I watched this video on, mistakes that first-time YouTuber makes. And one of them was, low energy. And the thing that I noticed since then is how many YouTubers have just too much energy. They're too perky. They're too bouncy. They're too, hello. They're just too, oh my God, too much. And I particularly noticed it in the video where the guys who were doing this little tutorial, like mistakes YouTubers make, they were talking about, low energy, and then they went back to talking, and I realized that their video was like energy voltage up to here. And it seemed to me, at least, to be a little bit kind of fake, like manufactured energy, manufactured exuberance. Not my kind of thing, not my cup of tea. Now, for the pickup artists that I've known, they were never quite that bouncy, but they were still a little bouncier than normal. That might not necessarily be your thing. That might be a little, if it's a little too manufactured, don't feel like you need to force it too much. Is it good advice? Yes, because when I look at my husband, when I met him, we started talking, and the moment we started talking, he was very enthusiastic about the things he was talking about. He had interesting stories to tell, and he knew they were interesting, and so he was interested in telling them, and he thought that what I had to say was interesting as well, so we were having a very good, very active dialogue going on between us. You want that you want to have an active, energetic dialogue with a prospective female partner. That's a good thing. Too much energy and too much manufactured balance is a bad thing. So when he says an energy level slightly higher than that of the set, you really want to put emphasis on that word slightly. Don't feel like you need to really go in there with full on bounce going on. But do realize that when you're having a very organic connection with someone, you're going to have a certain degree of energy. You're going to have interest. And you want to give them that without trying too hard. And the way you do that is by being energetic and being engaged in the conversation. Not overly interested engaged, but engaged as in, I'm interested in what you have to say. I think of that personally as being a very masculine thing. So if you're a dude talking to another dude, and you're talking about something that you're interested in, think about how you're posturing. Think about how you're looking at the other person. If you're guys, you might be looking off in separate directions, but you're going to be talking, emphatically. But generally, if you're having a very interesting conversation with somebody, even if it's another guy, you're going to be looking at them and you're going to be, going back and forth. Think about how you act when you're doing that. And try to kind of superimpose all that behavior, all that body language into a conversation with a woman. You're interested in what she's saying. Hopefully she's saying something that's actually interesting. But you're interested in telling her what you think. You're interested in hearing what she thinks. You're interested in communication occurring between the two of you. There's an energy that comes with that. That's the energy level you're looking for. Incongruence. Have you ever tried to use another person's personality conveying routine only to have it come out of your mouth like a bad script? When what you say and how you say it don't match up in a natural manner, you have what Venusian artists call incongruence. I honestly have no idea how many people call it the Venusian arts other than mystery. I don't know if anyone calls it the Venusian arts, but whatever. That's kind of what this here is what I was kind of talking about earlier. When you try out the tricks in this chapter, and there's so many things to try out in this chapter, it's really fun and kind of exciting. When you try out things in this chapter, do be aware that if it doesn't fit you, if it's not coming naturally for you, it's going to seem scripted, very badly scripted. So, don't feel like you have to do everything at once. That's too many ideas, too many behaviors to keep in your head all at once. You will fail. Try one or two. And then go back to the drawing board and think about what happened. Did it work? Did it not work? Did you kind of notice more success? Did you notice less success? Okay, then you pick one or two different things and try those out. Was it more successful? Was it less successful? Did it really, really not work? Okay, let's shelve that one for later. Let's maybe never ever try that again. Doing that, trial and error, it gets you accustomed to failure because failure is part of the game. And it also expands your ability to communicate with women. You're going to learn things if you try these. And so it's fun to play around with. It's fun to experiment and think of it as a big experiment, a social experiment. It becomes much more fun that way. But yeah, if you try something and it just doesn't seem to fit you, and if you can't make it fit you inside your head, don't be surprised if it's not going to fit you outside of your head as well. I don't know. I mean, I would say practice in a mirror, but that's probably going to feel really awkward. But then again, how many times did I practice dancing in a mirror? How many hours have I spent putting on makeup and playing with makeup before realizing that I hate makeup and just never doing makeup again? Play with it. Play with it and try it out. And if it doesn't seem to fit you, then, maybe it doesn't work for you, or maybe you just need to figure out an alternative that is more congruent with who you are. I think that's it for chapter 5. There's a lot of information in this one. It makes me so happy. Like when I read, I want to be, I think I'm a victim of the internet age. I want to be bombarded with information. I want my head to be on the verge of exploding. This chapter had just a constant new every time I got to a new line, there was something new that he was saying. It was nice. It's good. It's balm for my brains. I love it. So this was a fun chapter. I had fun with it, and I hope you guys do too. I'll see you next week and talk to you guys later. Who comes along who they are interested in. Oh, you're finally leaving. Okay. He's been sitting on my lap this whole time.